conceptualize it. Why is that salty dogs like us with the little gray in our hair and beards can come to that conclusion, and maybe the new founders, the neophytes, maybe don't?
Well, I think it's because, at the early stages of a company, the founder, their personality and their vision and worth of themselves is so tied up into that exact company concept. They see themselves as one thing. I am this startup, and I need to be, a bull just driving to the success of the singular startup because that's what I said I'm going to do. And, sometimes the paradigm I would use, or the metaphor I'd use, is saying sometimes you're using a butter knife trying to cut through marble. You can be grinding at that thing all day for years on years, but you're never going to cut through marble with a butter knife, right? So my perspective is they need to separate and believe that, like, look, there's them as a founder, and then there's the startup they're currently working on, right? And if that startup doesn't work out, they as a founder hopefully got smarter, and they take the lessons from that startup that failed and the time that they've invested, and they realize that actually was a level up for them. So although the startup didn't work out, they became stronger, right? And then they take that strength and they go to that next startup and go to the next startup, right? And just like you've seen, like I've seen companies work for 5 years and really never find growth. And I've seen companies work for 5 weeks and see immense growth, right?
Yes.
And, and sometimes it could be the same type of founder. It's just that they're attacking different problems that the market either is or isn't ready for, right? But there is that thesis that's somewhat, I think, built into this America dream where it's almost like, well, just try harder, grind harder, grind harder, grind harder. And the reality is that is true when it's talking about you as a founder, go grind harder, right? But that business you're grinding against might be just a butter knife into marble. And there's no amount of grinding that's going to solve that problem.
And the founder, because they are the founder, and from their position, their point of view is, I got to get through the marble and I got a knife in my hand, so let's keep going.
Yeah.
And they don't see themselves in this. Whereas we, as maybe the old salty dogs who've been through this before, we see it and we look and go, oh, there is an impossible task cutting the marble, but look at how diligently and how strong that founder has gotten trying to do something impossible. It's literally exactly like watching in martial arts, somebody just punch the bag over and over again. And it's like, bag's not going anywhere.
Yep, that's exactly right.
But you're getting stronger, right?
That's right. And I mean, and obviously you know this as well, when we all select these individuals and they pitch us and we invest into them, at the end of the day, we're investing into them as a founder, right? And we think it's them plus that business, but there's always a possibility it's them plus a different business, right?
Yes.
The other thing I found is that the moment founders take money, if they feel like it's not working out, their goal seems to be, I will still cut this marble until I'm literally on my last dime to show conviction to my investors that I executed the strategy I sold them. Right. And yet I often encourage them, like, look, if you're clear that the strategy isn't working and at the early stages, tell your investors and suggest an alternative, suggest your pivot or return the capital. But don't feel like you have this obligation to bleed this thing dry when you're clear that the strategy isn't going to work. Right.
Which you did at MySpace.
Well, yeah, I mean, at MySpace, we exactly right. We butter knifed that marble, through 3 different phases, and then clearly, went to basically News Corp and said, no amount of money solves this problem. It's a fundamental problem. We need to walk away from this problem.
Wow. What was that like for you emotionally, if there's, that sunken amount of time you put into it?
Well, it's disappointing, right? For sure. Right. Like, and I wasn't just disappointed for myself, but I would say that, it's one of those things that you certainly know great people around you when you're in a wartime setting. And, when MySpace entered the first phase, which was like mass layoffs and mass reconstruction of the business, the second phase, which was a highly publicized launch and combat with Facebook, and the third phase, the kind of realization of where we are, you had some incredible people that dedicated their lives to that mission. And it's disappointing that we didn't succeed in that mission, right? But I think I felt that disappointment of the entire team being like, look, it's not going to work. But there was a sobering moment being like, look, there's a lot of good reasons why this isn't going to work. And no matter how much time and capital we put into this, I don't see a recovery coming. So then let's just move into this model of like, let's extract value. How do we extract value, preserve as much as we possibly can, and let everybody walk away with some level of pride at the end of this journey?